The new kingdom is psychologically unnatural. Think about Jesus' priorities here for a second. Think about his example. Think about his action. That's impossible. To be like Jesus, it's impossible. How many of you have been trying for a long time? Raise your hands. That's it. The rest of you are heathens. How many of you have been trying to act like Jesus? Raise your hands. Okay, that's a little bit more. Many of us have been trying. We want to be like, if you don't want to be like Jesus morally, something's wrong with you. The guy was pretty awesome. Died for you, by the way. And we try, and we try, and we try. How many of you have failed? I didn't even ask. That's good. How many of you, we've all failed. If you look at Jesus and you say, I cannot do that. There was a professor once read the Sermon on the Mount, which I read part of it to you from Luke, the Beatitudes, to his class. True story. He read it to them and he said, so what do you guys think about this? About principles like if you even look at another woman with lust in your eye, with lust in your heart, then you've committed adultery. If you say I hate you to somebody, it means that you've killed them in your heart and you've committed murder. What do you guys all think of this? And they weren't in church, so they didn't give the answer, the typical answer to everything, Jesus. They said instead, that's crazy. Whoever said that is nuts. Now they got it. Now they're starting to understand a little bit. It's impossible to be exactly like Jesus. And when you finally come to that point, psychologically, and you look at Jesus in the garden and you say, I fall so short of that. Now you're starting to get it. Tim Keller says, Jesus Christ as only an example will crush you. You get what he's saying? You've been told many of you your whole lives, what would Jesus do? Be like Jesus. You've worn the bracelet, bought the t-shirt and the CD. What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? What did Jesus do? He died on the cross for your sins, right? To bring you to him, to show you that you can't do what Jesus has done because you're not Jesus. You need Jesus. You wouldn't need Jesus if you could be like Jesus. You need Jesus. Follow me? When Jesus is just your example, it crushes you. Because we sin. But he goes on. But Jesus Christ as the Lamb, as the one who dies for your sins and your failures and your shame and your guilt and your broken relationship with God, Jesus Christ as the Lamb will save you. You see, when you look to Jesus just as your example, it should crush you because you can't measure up. But when you look at Jesus as your atonement, it should bring you joy.